What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with reactions to the classics, and today we got a reaction to Queensrÿche and their album Empire, brought to us by a friend, longtime supporter, and patron of the channel, Robert. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out that Patreon link below or the patron link on the end screen. We could not do it without the patrons. All right, I've already done a Queensrÿche. I'll get into that for a minute for Robert, but let's get into them a little bit. I'll give you just a very brief background of Queensrÿche, then we're going to get into the album. They're an American progressive metal band formed in 1982 in Bellevue, Washington, out of the local band The Mob. They released 16 studio albums, 1 EP, and several DVDs, and continue to tour and record. And that gets into some complication that I really won't get into, but there was 2 different Queensrÿches and all that good stuff. The original lineup consisted of guitarist Michael Wilton and Chris DeGarmo, drummer Scott Rockenfield, bassist Eddie Jackson, and lead vocalist Jeff Tate. They've sold over 20 million albums worldwide, including over 6 million albums in the U.S. They're considered one of the leaders of the progressive metal scene of the mid to late 80s and often referred to as one of the big 3 in that genre, along with Dream Theater and Fate's Warning. They received worldwide acclaim after the release of their 1988 album Operation Mindcrime, which is considered one of the greatest heavy metal concept albums of all time. Now, I did that album for Robert a while back. It's not only one of the greatest heavy metal concept albums, it's one of the greatest concept albums of all time. If you want to check that out, just type it in the bar up above, of course, after you're done with this. But it's on another level, guys. And we got almost 3,300 videos up on this channel. I don't hand out idle praise. That album was next level. All right, this album, though, is their 4th studio album, released in August of 1990. It is their most commercially successful release for one reason, by reaching triple platinum status, 7 in the US, 13 in the UK, and 18 in Canada. It's produced by Peter Collins, who also helmed the producer's role for Operation Mindcrime. Guitarist Michael Wilton said, "It was a great team we had, engineer and mixer Jimbo Barton and Peter Collins, working with us, and we're recording up in Vancouver, Canada. We were kind of thrust into the digital age and digital perfection with the SSL consoles and digital recorders. It was such an eye-opening experience. Everything was firing on all cylinders. The band was playing great. We were writing together great, and the songs came together. We wanted to be song-oriented rather than conceptual like we did on the past album. Whereas Mindcrime," this is just me talking now, "a dark tale about a junkie turned political assassin for a nefarious underground movement, had been Tate's brainchild. Chris DeGarmo headed this one up. His focus was on stripping the material down to its essentials and bringing melody to the fore. He said, quote, "I was definitely interested in all kinds of deconstruction of, not necessarily complexity, but trying to make sure that the song stood tall on the fewest stilts. It was my opinion that great tunes can do that." I just thought that was a great quote from Chris there. All right, if you've never been with this before, the music won't be in the video, but it's going to be at the Vimeo link below. So click on that and follow along with this. Let's jump into it. With the first track, Best I Can, 3rd single, went to 28 on the mainstream rock charts in the US and 36 in the UK. And in November 2010, Jeff Tate said of this track, quote, "It was a situation of us writing about handicapped people and their determination to reach their goals. A lot of people really embraced that song, people with serious disadvantages, and we were happy about that, as it was a rallying song to get behind of and kind of inspired them to seek their goals and move in the right direction." All right, I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. Thanks again, Robert. Best I Can. I mean, it's about a kid who gets shot. He ends up in a wheelchair, but he's telling you that he's not going to allow that to keep him down. Right? It's a lot of great lines, but step by step, the bridge, like before the 3rd verse in here, said, "Step by step, I dream the plan, from my chair to walking man. This constant dream is on my mind. Chase the light I see ahead, illuminate the path I tread. I live to be the best I can." Very inspiring thing for people who have issues. I mean, I have issues. You just can't see it. You wouldn't know it if you followed me around. But so I've had rheumatoid arthritis for almost 17 years. I mean, I still teach basketball. I still work out. But I mean, I'm in pain all the time. So those of us who have to overcome things, and almost every one of you watching is overcoming something. It doesn't have to be your health. It can be finances, relationship, whatever, man. A lot of people are dealing with a lot of different things. But I thought I did a really good job here. And I thought the rocking aspect of it, I thought the guitar work was really good on here. So I really enjoyed the vibe of the song. The way it started out, you know, with the distant voices and kind of like childlike choir, I'm like, it's going to be on Operation Mindcrime, but then it got into real rocking. Next up, we have The Thin Line. The Thin Line, I liked it once we got into it a little bit. At the start of it, I was like, it's fine, but it got better as we got into it. I mean, it's probably not going to be a standout, but well done. And the standout on this, though, was Eddie Jackson's bass work. It was fantastic. Like, Bassists don't always get to shine on music like this. They let him shine, and he was up to the task. Next up, we have Jet City Woman. It was a single, went to 6 on the mainstream rock in the US, 39 in the UK. Talks about coming home to family after a long road trip. It's Jet City is the nickname, of course, for Seattle, the band's hometown, due to air manufacturer Boeing being there. It was written about Jeff Tate's second wife, who was a flight attendant. All right, Jet City Woman. That's how you write a love song, but make it rock, right? I mean, and Chris had a great guitar work in here. Had started out with a guitar solo because, man, when you write the song and it's close to you, you can kind of write it how you want. But bass work in there again from Eddie Jackson was fantastic. I mean, Jeff was good. Everybody's firing all cylinders, but Chris was the standout on this one. Next up, we got Della Brown. All right, Della Brown. Bass-driven song. Like the whole song's driven by the bass. And then Scott comes in there, he's going to on every song with great guitar work. The song itself, that's why this song's dialed back a little bit. It's not total on rocker. I mean, you get the great instrumentation and Jeff sounds good, but it's about homelessness that turns into hopelessness. But there's some really good lines in this thing. It's only 3 verses. It's over 7 minutes long. And that's the only thing I'm going to say through the first 4 songs. Every song on this album is long, as in 5.5 minutes nearly and up. I mean, there's a few that are 4, but you feel it on some. Like, I felt like this song was too long. Like, it wasn't like horrible. It wasn't like this is ever going to end, but they could dial back the instrumentation run even just like a minute and a half, and it would probably make for a little more succinct song. But it's a good song. It tells a really good story. I mean, they're out here writing about tough stuff, right? In the first song, Best I Can, about physical disabilities overcoming. Now, in Della Brown, they're writing about, homelessness that turns into hopelessness. Because at first, even though she was homeless, she had these dreams. It's still going to be all right. And then by the 3rd verse, it's like, yeah, this isn't going to happen, man. So it's a tough one, but well done. All right, next up we have one that was a single, although I couldn't find any information on it. Another Rainy Night, and then in parentheses, Without You. All right, Another Rainy Night, Without You. So you can kind of tell from the song title what it's about. She's gone. He's waiting for her to come back. He's waiting by the phone back when we had to do those things. We couldn't take the phones with us. Has this takeout dinner waiting there. It's getting cold. But the magic of this song is the chorus, when they come in and kind of harmonize that chorus. It's got that nice hard rock in this instance, like chorus and just soaring harmony to it. I super enjoyed it. And I'm going to say this on every song, the guitar work and the bass work, fantastic. All right, next up we got the title track, Empire. Single went to 22 on the mainstream rock and 61 in the UK. The lyrical content of the song warns of a foreboding and unstoppable empire of drug trafficking within the US and its related crimes that will inevitably lead to the breakdown of civility in American society. All right, that could be Operation Mindcrime. Let's get it. All right, another fire song. Lyrically, right? They are really bringing it on here. These guys can flat out write. I'll get into that at the end, but fantastic song. Talking about the drug trade then, the drug trade now is every bit as bad. It was different back then. It's every bit as bad now. It's just different stuff, right? And sometimes prescription drugs have taken the place of a lot of other things like crack cocaine, which would have been huge at this time. Give some of the crime statistics and like how much of government spending is on, or I guess not statistics, but how much of government spending is on policing. And I try to look that up. It's not easy to find. It's easy to find state and local charting, but it's hard to find what the federal government, I can see what the DOJ spends, but the overall federal government budget, I couldn't find it. But fantastic song, fantastic the way it was written. Next up, we have Resistance. All right, Resistance from New York, New Orleans, the right, the liberal. He covers it all. The Resistance. I think the whole harmony on the Resistance, and a great guitar solo from Michael Wilton here, which he was on the last track as well on Empire, doing some guitar soloing in there. But 2 guitarists who can really bring it. You can't go wrong with that. Well, now we're up to the only Queensrÿche song I knew before I did Operation Mindcrime, and the reason why this album sold so well, Silent Lucidity. Composed, of course, by Chris, and was the biggest hit for the band, peaking at number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100 and at number 1 on the Billboard Album Rock Tracks chart. It's nominated in 1992 for the Grammy Awards for Best Rock Song and Best Rock Vocal Performance by Duo Group. 7 in Canada, 18 in the UK. Chris was inspired to write this song by the 1974 book Creative Dreaming by Patricia Garfield, which explained how to tap into one's subconscious to experience a lucid dream. He noted in an interview that the average person spends 4.5 years of their life in a vivid hallucination state during dreaming. During that time, they can do superhuman feats like flying and walking through walls, as well as experience incredible physical sensations. He said, quote, "We created a very real dreamlike landscape for this song. Everything from the vocal delivery to the orchestration to the melody, the instruments, it's all trying to create this very lush landscape. It's a huge sounding track," end quote. It was originally only acoustic guitar and vocals, but additional instrumentation was added during the last week of working on the album. The album's producer was adamant that the song should not be included on the record, but the band members pushed for it. The video for the track was nominated for 5 MTV Music Awards in 1991, winning one for Viewer's Choice. And it was everywhere. If you were around in 1991, like I was, this song was everywhere on MTV. And I don't think I've heard it since around that time period. All right, Silent Lucidity. So if you would have asked me before I did this album, do you ever need to hear Silent Lucidity again? I'd be like, no. I mean, I didn't hate it. It was just everywhere. But in my research for this song, everyone kept saying how, it's very Pink Floyd-ish, down to even Michael Kamen's doing the orchestral arrangement here, and he worked with Pink Floyd. Like, this is 100% Pink Floyd. Now, that meant nothing to me in 1991. I didn't know any Pink Floyd till we started this channel 6.5 years ago or so. I had never listened to a Floyd album or anything else. I super enjoy them now, or at least a portion of their work. But, yeah, man, this is 100% Pink Floyd. They 100% could have done this, and it just enhances the song immensely for me. It's a great song. But you can see why the producer was like, no, because it doesn't fit on this album. But I'm glad they put it on this album. It's great. It just doesn't fit with the style so far. All right, we got 3 tracks left. We got Hand on Heart. All right, Hand on Heart. Back to rockin', right? Total switch of the genre, basically, from Silent Lucidity to this. Back to the rock, and Eddie's back in with the good bass work. A minor quibble. Some of these songs are just too long. Right? And this song's too long. It's a good song. It just went on too long. But part of the problem, I mentioned how it was good in the last song, is you got Michael and Chris who can both really bring it on the guitar. But a lot of these songs have 2 guitar solos. I get it. You get yours, I'll take mine. And it lengthens the songs. But that's what we did during this time period in the 90s. We had long albums and long songs. It's not horrible. It's a good song. Just a little minor quibble. And these last 2 songs are 6 minutes and 8 minutes. So it's going to prove my point. But One and Only. All right, One and Only, a fine song. I think it's the weakest song on the album, but I mean, it's still a fine song, a rocking song, good guitar work. Went on too long again, but I mean, it wasn't, it's still a good song. Like, it's just a really good album. All right, now we're on to our final track, almost 8 minutes long. Anybody listening? All right, the last 12 seconds were silence. I was really trying to hear exactly what was going on when they were speaking after the outro, and I couldn't quite pull it in after the soundscape that we got. A fine song, like, showcased all of what is good about this album. The guitar work, just vocals are fantastic. Once again, I've said it on the last 3 songs, what a long, right? But I mean, that's just kind of what we were doing back then. And I get it if that's your thing, man, if that's your thing with the guitar work and all of that stuff. All right, let's go to my favorite tracks. Honorable mention, Another Rainy Night, in parentheses, Without You. Faves, I go kind of chalk here. It's kind of, probably what you would think. Best I Can, Jet City Woman, Empire, and of course, Silent Lucidity. I didn't pick it as an honorable mention, but Della Brown's lyricism was fantastic. Now we're going to get to my overall score. I thought the album kind of, which a lot of albums of this time, the last few songs, not as great, but all the way to the start and through most of the middle of this, the lyricism is at a different level than a lot of other bands in the genre. So I super enjoyed that. It's a really good album. It's not better than Operation Mindcrime, but Operation Mindcrime, you're not going to throw on and just jam a song or two. I mean, you might, but it's not really the design, whereas this is different. You can throw on these songs and go to them. So I'm going to be at a 7.75. If you like this kind of music, I think it's really good rockin' music with a few little detours in there with Della Brown and Silent Lucidity. You're going to really like this album. Queensrÿche was majorly talented. Having 2 great guitarists like Michael Wilton and, of course, Chris DeGarmo is a great positive. Eddie Jackson, I mentioned him on the bass, especially at the start of this album. Fantastic work. Scott Rockenfield. Scott, I didn't mention, the drumming is really good here. There just wasn't, they go more showcasing on the guitar work and not on the drumming, but the drumming was great. And of course, Jeff Tate, underrated vocalist. You don't have to have the greatest vocalist on this style of music, but he's a really good vocalist. So let me know what you think down below. How do you compare it to Operation Mindcrime? Once again, comparing a concept album with anything else is a difficult thing, but I'm going to ask you anyway, because those are the 2 that I've done. Thank you to Robert for bringing it. And until next time, guys, I will see you.